episode 7 of my How to Support series. This week we are going over how to play when you are losing, going over what to do in the lane phase, the mid to late game, and how to play for objectives. Hit that like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy it, and check out any of the episodes from my previous in the playlist. Anyways, let's begin. Okay, so we're going to start off with how to play in the lane phase if you fall behind early. So to start off, if you fall behind early, the best thing you can do is try to freeze the wave here, as it means you're safe and by your tower. And it means that you're setting it up so that your jungler can potentially come in and gank because they're going to be overextended. Now, I will say, usually if you're losing lane at this point, it'll be hard to freeze it here. Their bot lane should be able to shove it in and potentially create a slow push to themselves and freeze it if they want, or just keep shoving in waves. But if you can, freezing it here is the best case scenario. Now, on top of that, you want to get good vision around you. So the bare minimum for vision is you may want to put a control ward in this bush and a regular green ward in this bush. The reason why you don't want to put the control ward in this bush is because their bot lane, if they have prio, they will shove in a wave and then they'll walk over, kill it, right? You can't defend it because you're under tower with the minion wave, and then they'll come back and now you've just lost your ward there, where it's very hard for them to actually roam in and kill a control ward here. So I would recommend a basic setup like this, and it's really good because if their jungler comes to the topside jungle or if this one tries to tower dive you, you'll see it in advance and hopefully you guys can leave before you get dove by everyone coming. So anyways, this is the normal setup, but what do you actually do when you're losing other than trying to freeze a wave by your tower? So your goal, if you've seen it through my other videos, is how do you get a lead in your lane and how do you expend it to your team? And if you may have remembered from my video on how to roam, which may have been like episode 2 or something, there are conditions set for roaming. Is your wave in a good lane state? Is the lane to roam to? And is it safe to roam? You now have to think this, except in reverse. You need to think in the enemy's point of view. Is the lane state good for the enemy to support, and where could they be running to, right? Because if you're playing safely under your tower and not giving them openings to fight you, because you're just playing safe, not looking for trades, not looking to engage, you're just playing safe, AFK farming, even if you're falling behind more and more by CS, their support wants to expand the game, and they're probably going to roam up mid, because if they are constantly shoving you under tower, right, so they're constantly shoving waves under tower, it leaves this open where their support can roam up the river if they want. But the problem is you can't just blind follow, because if their support walks here, right, their support can literally just sit in this bush, right, and you don't know where they're going. And if you walk mid and then all of a sudden he comes from behind as your mid and he comes and tower dives your ADC, you're screwed. So I would say personally, there are 2 wards that are really, really good for this position. So you have 1 ward here, and the other 2 I would place is every time you recall after you're losing. So if you're losing and after recall you come from base, try to get a ward here if possible and a ward here. If you can't get a ward here because it's not safe, you can walk up to the wall here and place it over the wall right there. A control ward in the bush won't notice it, but yeah, if you can get it over here, it's the best, and I'll tell you why this is a good place. So if their support is roaming up river, right, oopsies, is roaming up river, this ward will spot them here, at which point you can ping your mid lane B, right, and he can play safe until the support comes back. Now, if he walks past this ward, he may still be going top. And what do you do? Well, this is where this ward comes in play. If he still keeps going, you want to follow. Now, if this ward right here wasn't there, the support could be camping this bush with his jungler. So as you come in, they kill you, right? If you do not have this ward here, so say you don't have that ward here, and you saw the support roam up river, and you don't know where they are, you'd have to take this path through your jungle, blah, 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 all the way like this, right? So I'll draw it out with a pen, I guess, so it's easier. You'd have to take this path and come mid from a safe angle, which is really delayed and you could be too late. So by getting that ward down by your mid lane, right? So if you put this ward here, if the support roams mid and you see the support walk up like this, you know you're safe to warp through the jungle and chill here and try to counter gank. And if the support starts walking back bot, you'll see him and you can follow him. Really, at this point in the game, your job is to stop the enemy support from snowballing the game as best as possible. So you want to try and mimic whatever moves they make. So yeah, this is a good ward pattern. And the last thing I would say is the enemy bot lane has the play where they shove the wave in and then they recall. Anytime this happens, you need to get in the habit when the enemy bot lane recalls, spam ping your mid and top. Because as their ADC is walking to lane, their support has a timer where he can roam top side, gank top, he can roam this side and gank mid. And the problem is it's really hard because say you predict this and you go and roam top side to predict that the support's going to go top and you're here chilling to counter gank. Well, that's really 5-head. But what happens if their support actually just walked down bot and now just tower dives your ADC with their ADC, right? Not a very good idea. So you can't necessarily counter roam to top lane. So you need to just make sure that when the enemy support backs, that you're pinging it. Where did the enemy support go? Did I lose the support? Oh, there it is. It's under my arrow. Okay, cool. So yeah, you need to make sure you're pinging your side lanes when they're losing. Now, these are basically what to do when you're behind. These won't get you any leads. It'll just keep you in an even state. You're AFK farming and counter roaming to make sure their support doesn't get ahead. What can you do to necessarily get a lead again? Well, in your lane, you have to think about if there's any win conditions for you. So for me personally, I made neeko support, right? If I die early in lane and I know it's done, there's no way to come back, I don't fight until level 6. At level 6 is my win condition. If I can land a combo, usually under tower, we'll be sitting under tower like this, their ADC will push up and I'll land a root on him under tower, that's my win condition. If I'm losing lane, if my win con is to bait them under tower and land a root ulti combo on ADC and one-shot them. That's my win con. That's what I play towards if I'm behind. That's my level 6 win con. I can't say the win con for everyone, for every lane, because it just depends on what lane you're playing and what matchup. But think if there's any win con. It could be as simple as the ADC blue flash, you're playing Nautilus, and now you have your flash coming up in 30 seconds and you're going to have a win con for 4 minutes and a half where you can flash on their ADC and one-shot them when you know the enemy jungle's top, right? So your win con is enemy ADC has no flash, I have flash, and enemy jungler's top side. That's my win con when I can fight. So try to think your win con. This win con could be as simple as freezing the wave under your tower, right? Getting control ward in this bush, getting a control ward in this bush over here, right? And having your jungler gank them. That could be your win con. Figure out what your win con is. Figure out what your win con is and try to play towards your win con. I will say one thing. If your top and mid lane are winning, it doesn't matter if you have a win con, don't go for it. If my mid and top are winning, I don't go for the root ulti under tower. I play safe. Maybe I root and combo them under tower, but I won't ulti it because your top side is winning. The only time you should act on your win con if you're losing lane is if the top side of your map is losing, at which point you need to carry. Now, there's one more play in the lane phase. This one, honestly, might vary. In lower elos, my teammates always get pissed. But if your lane phase is done, it's doomed. Your ADC is 0, freaking 6. And every time you come to lane, you and your ADC just both die and you're giving over double kills. This is the one time I would say roaming top side is good. If their support is just going to be playing bot side, you can tell your ADC to just give up the wave, let them take tower, and just wait here. Your ADC might be dumb and die again. Either way, if you were bot, you would die with them. The play is that you roam top side with your jungle and take Herald, because at which point they're only going to have 3 to come and you're going to have 4 players on the top side. So you go, you take Rift Herald with your jungler, you go top, you pop the Rift Herald, and you 3-man dive top and try to snowball your top lane to win the game. This is the one play that I do actually a lot when I'm losing lane. I would only recommend this though if bot lane is doomed. Like I'm saying, if you're in a scenario where every time you go bot, you just died twice in a row going bot, your ADC keeps fighting and you're just dying when you go bot, ditch him. He is not your win con, right? Roam with Herald, try to get your pinger jungler to do Herald, pop it top, dive, and try to get your top lane fed. If you have a fed Jax, Irelia, I don't know, Fiora, whoever you have top, they can potentially carry the game. So that would be the last advice I would give in the lane phase on what to do when you are behind. This is just a basic guideline. There's so many different variables in League Guy. I can't go over everything, but this is in general. Have vision here and here so that you can see the enemy support when he's roaming up on this point and this point, right? Try to get that vision, try to counter roam him, try to ping your laners B whenever the support backs that he could be roaming, right? And think about what your possible win cons are that you can get to win lane. We're going to move on now to the mid game. Okay, so what to do in the mid game if you are losing? Unfortunately, guys, it's very grim as a support in my opinion. It's very hard to do much. You're really coin flipping once you get to the mid game, but for the most part, you just want to be getting defensive vision and holding towers. So if you have your mid tower still up, you could do something like you got a vision there, a ward there, and a pink ward here, right? And then all of a sudden your ADC is safe to farm mid and you're just chilling over here on this wall looking for picks, running around to the bot lane if you need help, just warming, but really you're not looking to do anything. It's hard for me to really talk about it. I've been really delaying putting off what to do when losing this video because I feel like the videos, my other videos teaching what to do when you're winning are a lot more applicable because it shows you what you need to do to extend your leads. When you're losing, it's really just playing defensive and hoping the enemy makes a mistake. You know, they send one bot, one top, they have 3 mid and you have 4 mid, you force a fight because they don't have enough. Or you camp this bush and someone overextends over here and you make a pick. Like you're literally just going to be bush camping as a support, sitting here, right? Sitting in this bush. You're just literally, you can't ever move past this river line because you're losing, all you can really do is bush camp and hope they make a mistake, right? If this mid tower is gone and you only have the tier 2, maybe you have a control ward there, you have a ward here, here, and maybe like a ward over here, right? And again, you're maybe bush camping this bush and seeing if anyone walks in, or playing for your top laner. There's really not much to do or say. One thing I will say is if Baron is up and the enemy can potentially do it, you always want to try and keep a ward up as much as possible, because a win con for you can be the enemy team starting Baron and you fighting them there. That can be a win con. Again, it's really just finding your win con. The most obvious win cons that I've already kind of said is, one is you sit in a bush and bush camp and wait till they overextend to face check and you make a pick and then use that pick to do an objective like a dragon, Baron, or tower. Or two, wait until you have numbers. There will be maybe a point where they have their top laner farming top, bot, and their mid laner forming bot. They have 3 mid and you have 4 mid at the time because your top laner was just rotating over, and you force a fight when you have numbers. This is all you can really do from behind in the mid game. I wish there was more I could tell you, but it really just comes to getting good defensive vision lines and trying to make picks, right? You get this vision line and you literally just sit in this bush and wait and hope someone comes over and face checks you. I'm trying to think. I don't preemptively make a script for these videos. I kind of just go off the flow of my brain, but it's really hard as a support when you're losing, because it's not like you're a mid laner who can one-shot someone. Usually you want to stay with your jungler, so if their jungler's topside, go their jungler topside, and hopefully you can make a pick with him. But you can't really do anything by yourself. You can't solo kill someone by yourself. You're just really hovering mid to stop your ADC from getting dive and protecting towers, and in between going with your jungler and seeing if your jungler can make picks. At this point, if you lost your lane phase and couldn't get a lead for your team, you're really in the point of coin flipping, which is again why I made my videos about what to do when ahead, because when you're ahead, you can push your lead and make sure you don't lose it and then win the game. But when you're behind as a support, as the weakest champion in the game, most likely, there's 10 players in the game, and the weakest on the winning side will be the support, but the support on the winning side might be stronger than some players on the losing. On the losing side support is probably the weakest player in the whole game. At this point, all you can do is get good vision control for your team, right? If you have your top lane tower still up, maybe you get a ward here and here, right? And keep a ward over here so that your top laner is safe, right? And if your mid laner is down here, if someone's like holding a tower over here, maybe it's getting a ward right here, right? An award here so that this person is safe to farm here, right? Just figure out who on your team needs help, what you can do to help them, and try to make picks if you can. Now we're going to go into the final bit, which is how and what to do about objectives when you are losing. Okay, finally, what to do about objective control. As I mentioned earlier once, you always want to try and keep a ward on the Baron pit at all times, as you don't want the enemy team sneaking Baron. But what do you do when the dragons are spawning? So in general, as the support, you cannot just face check the river and get a ward on, because if at any point their team could be camping this bush, they could be camping this bush, right? They could be camping anywhere here. You don't know where the enemy is. You usually have to wait for your team. So usually literally what you're doing is, again, as a support, it sucks. You just have to play a team game. You're just sitting here and waiting for your team to come. And once your team comes, you can either use your team to face check through the jungle and get the ward on the objective to make sure the enemy team's not doing it. Or you can shove the mid lane. Also, a good thing is if you shove mid, you can go to the mid lane and then enter the jungle this way. So it depends on your comp. If you have a really good frontline champion, you can just face check the jungle, like an Ornn or something. You can face check with Ornn and go through that way. If you have more assassins and not frontline champs, you probably want to shove the mid wave and come over and enter through the jungle, at which point you can, place a ward. You come over here and place a ward over the wall into that, then walk in, you use some abilities and get a ward here, and try to get in and stop the enemy team, and try to see if you can win a team fight or something. So that's how you'd get a vision control on the dragon. But just remember, an important thing in League is it doesn't matter about the dragons until they're getting their dragon soul. So if you're playing a comp that you think you outscale the enemy, it really depends. If you're playing a comp with like the assassins and stuff, and the longer the game goes, the harder it's going to get, you're probably just going to want to fight. But if you're playing with a team that scales, you have that Ornn, you have that freaking Cassid in mid lane, you got your freaking Kog'Maw Lulu bot lane, you got the Dream late game comp. Remember, you do not have to fight every single dragon. If they only have 2 dragons, right, you can give a third one. If they have 3 and it's a dragon soul that's not so good, say it's the air dragon soul, you can even give the soul and wait till the elder drake to fight. Once elder's fight comes, you have to fight for it, and versus certain comps you'll have to fight for the the dragon soul spawn. But until those points, you do not have to fight. So if at this point it's a fight you don't have to fight, look for other advantages. I'm not kidding. You can just literally push down mid, take towers. A game recently I played legit was in this circumstance where my team was not really, it was really late game and we were here and there was no way we were going to win a fight if we went in, and it was for soul point. And we actually pushed mid and took the mid tower and inhib. And then as we were pushing for the thing, their team came through the river to try and stop us. And me by myself as a support just stood here and suicide and stopped them all right here. And we ended up winning the game off of just pushing the mid lane. So remember, you do not have to fight. If you ping your team B and say push lanes, push mid, try to get towers, push top, try to get towers, try to get something else if you're not going to fight for the dragon. And if you are going to fight for the dragons, you have to, then again, either front line goes through the river to get vision, or you shove out the mid lane and pass through there. So now we'll just quickly talk also about the Baron. Baron is a bit different. You can and cannot give up Baron. It just depends how far ahead you are. If you're really, really far behind and you're just going to lose the game if they get a Baron, you don't want to give it. But sometimes if their team doesn't have very good siege, they maybe have assassins and stuff, they don't have good siege, and you have good wave clear, sometimes you can give up an early Baron and let them have it, as you'll be able to hold your towers. But Baron is actually a place where you can win the game if they try to do it at a bad time. So I'll show you first of all how you get to the Baron from this side. So I showed you how to get to the dragon from this side. We're going to this side, so if you were playing on the opposite, going for dragon from this side, right? You're pushing this way, it'll be the same thing for Baron. So how do you push into the Baron pit? Usually, I would say that it's not good to go through this choke. It's kind of hard because you're just very vulnerable to people ganking you from over this wall and stuff. In general, just best to go with your team wherever they go, but you're gonna have to face check this bush and this and there. Usually if you can, I think it's good to go with your team here and use something to face check this bush, put a ward over the wall into this bush. So put a ward into this bush over the wall, get a ward over the wall here so that you can see them, and then you can try and force a fight and go into the dragon Baron, force them off it. So that's one way you can do it. But also there's just the simple again, shove in the mid lane and enter through here is always good. It's really not that different no matter what side you're on. You want your front line walking through, face tanking, and going in. If you don't have a front liner, shove your wave and then enter like this or come in from behind. See what you can do. And again, if you can't fight it, shove, see if you can take objectives. I wish there was more I could tell you guys, but again, as I said in the mid game thing, as a support in a losing game, there's not much you can do. So you know, you're just going to be in the mid game, like I said, putting down defensive vision and holding stuff, keeping a ward on Baron. And as objectives are spawning, you're now determining whether you and your team need to push in to get vision on it and fight them, or whether or not you guys are going to give it and push for other towers and stuff. See what you can do. I hope this helped you guys out. I wish it was better and there's more I could tell you guys how to win the game when you're losing, but it really is just coin flip at that point. You know, you're losing, you have to coin flip your teammates to do the right things and help you. The best you can do is get good defensive vision for your team, sit in bushes, try to make picks, and get vision on the objectives. So if you guys enjoyed this, share it with your friends and help support me in making these videos. I'm not fully sure what I want to do for next week's videos. I'm kind of running a bit out of topic, so if there's something you really want to see, let me know. And love you guys. Peace out.